Articles that spoke about excessive screen time. I'm sure all those researchers are hiding somewhere below a table.
Welcome back to this World Mental Health Month series. We are joined once again today by Havovi Bhagwagar ma'am, who is a psychologist and a psychotherapist, to answer some of the most common questions that students have. This time about social media and pop culture. How much social media interaction do you think is too much interaction?
When you're losing touch with actual or real people, and when your world becomes just virtual, we need to have a lot of face-to-face interaction with people, and maybe kind of balance that with virtual interactions. There's something though I want to share here is that for the youth, because they are known as natives to this entire internet age, for many of the youth who are in their teens, in their early adulthood, for them virtual interactions is normal. And it's the older generation or people who have not been used to the internet age who don't know how much to kind of cut off and how much is okay for teens and youth. So somewhere or the other, how much is too much? I think that answer we will find only after another maybe couple of decades where we have researched the impact of the internet on the youth. But at this point, we can say that a healthy balance seems to be okay. However, I always am cautious about answering things related to the internet age because it is still under research and we still have a generation growing up who have been born into it. And maybe how they adapt may be different from how we are seeing it. So these may be our anxieties. It may not be how they are looking at life. Too much and too little and all of that has completely been upended by a pandemic, no? I mean, we are all sitting 14, 15 hours in front of screens. And so all of those, articles that spoke about excessive screen time, I'm sure all those researchers are hiding somewhere below a table. But the fact is that we really have to take any sweeping statement about social media or about the internet age cautiously. It's still under research. So my take is always that children are born into this age and they have to find their balance. We can't give that to them.
A lot of students experience the fear of missing out, or as we've abbreviated it, FOMO. So, what's the best way to get over FOMO?
FOMO is something where not everybody is prone to it. They have to have some amount of insecurity to begin with about themselves and feeling not good about themselves, and then that sort of brings up that FOMO feeling. So there has to be some kind of ground there. And vulnerable minds like these get exploited very easily by telemarketers, by influencers, by people who have millions of likes but maybe speaking complete rubbish on social media. So they have to be careful about what they're consuming and have a realistic balance. So one of the things I always say is check it out with 2 or 3 friends. How do they feel about maybe similar videos or similar content, and try and get a balance of whether they get that same feeling of missing out, or is this just something that's in their mind playing. I think it's very important to recognize that what's being portrayed on social media is not real. What comes up on Facebook or Instagram are those instances of our lives that we, like taking the best picture among a portfolio of 10 or 20. You put that one picture out there which seems to be representative of your life, and it feels like your whole life looks like that. Right. And the people who are watching that life seem to think that is how our life should look as well, but that's not how it is. And so, staying away from that comparison is very important, to recognize what's being portrayed out there are unusual events. They are not really how life looks. So taking social media with that pinch of salt to be able to kind of be careful about how you are, what you're seeing, what you're consuming, how much you're consuming, these things are very important. I think it's very important not to engage too much with social media, because I know that if I am free a particular day and if I have gone through news feeds, I end up feeling like my life is complete mess and I've done nothing in my life. It's just a passive kind of reception with no positive feelings, because you're constantly comparing yourself. So it's important to snap out of that and look at your life, look at your world where it is, and speak to people who will make you feel good about yourself. That is also really important to get over FOMO.
What are your views on challenges on social media? How helpful are they? How bad can they be?
They can be, right? With the blue whale, you saw how disturbing that was, and I'm so happy at least all of this was banned. You know, there is a dark web that exists, and whether these challenges are there or not, kids are prone and vulnerable to getting drawn into this material. And with a lot of these challenges, what happens is it starts off innocently, and then one small mistake from that young mind, and then they are pulled into that entire web. So it's very important that children realize that parents are not villains, and neither is all adults in their life villains. Adults can find many ways to get you out of a problem. There can be intervention from the police, there can be intervention from somebody who can hack into or figure out how to, work around the hole that you have fallen into, the technology. Yeah, that's the right word. So it's very important you get adult intervention, and kids are scared to get that because they feel that they will be shouted at. But I think one of the good things that has emerged from the pandemic is that because the children have to constantly tell about their whereabouts to their parents, there is a kind of a melting of that barrier I have seen between kids and parents. Because of the safety norms now with the pandemic, the child can't just leave the house and go anywhere. Parents want to know where they are, and constant accountability is there. So a lot of children have started to rely on their parents and take their intervention, which was not there earlier. So somewhere I think it's a good healthy thing that has come out of the last 1.5 years. Lots of things have not been healthy, but one of the things missing really in Indian parent-child interaction over the last decade is that parents have become less involved with their kids, and most studies are finding out that. Like there was a recent study by the WHO that found that 25% young children are depressed. Students admit to feeling depressed, and India is among the leading nations where parental involvement is very less as compared to other nations. So if children are opening up, parents are getting more involved, this kind of vulnerability will reduce.
How much of a role do you think Bollywood plays in the psyche of a student?
So it plays a big role. In fact, it should be used ethically. It's not many of the times, unless somebody really creates a ruckus about portrayal. But it can have a negative influence, especially sometimes, there is a lot of stereotyping in Bollywood films which gets called out, right? These days, it's not there so much in the content, but when I was growing up, all the comedians were fat or bald or spoke with a lisp, right? That's a lot of stereotyping, a lot of othering. We don't realize what kind of an impact it has on people in their daily lives. So everything in our minds is influenced by what we see, and a visual medium is very powerful. And especially a visual medium that is constantly in our face all the time, the way Bollywood is. The way we revere Bollywood in India is more than I think in any other country.
Worshipped.
So, yes, it is worshipped literally. In the South, they actually put garlands on every single film that's released, the hero is garlanded. So, I think it's very important we use that portrayal in a positive manner, which is happening. I can see that there is a move towards that in some way. There isn't that much stereotyping anymore. We need to stop seeing people in these categories: slim heroine, beautiful girl, fair skin, or the hero is macho, men don't cry, women in the kitchen, male dominance, patriarchy. Yeah, all of these myths and barriers need to be broken, because this is what is really making, at the very root, right, in India, so much of our democracy is being upturned because we keep these portrayals. It shows the way we think, and we refuse to think differently. So we need to be able to change that, and Bollywood is a perfect platform to make that social change happen. One, Deepika Padukone talks about depression, and look at the amount of change that has happened socially because she has millions of followers on Instagram. So they can be huge influencers simply through their portrayal in their films. They don't even need to talk about stuff outside. So I think there has to be a positive change in the way in which we are looking at Bollywood, and I wish, like they did in the West, they'd have here also employee psychologists or counselors to sit with them when they are filming movies. Yes, during the process, to give them an idea about whether there is prejudice or stereotyping in the script woven in somewhere and nobody is able to figure that out. I think it would be fabulous to have that. To have mental health professionals sit in for script readings. I think that would be wonderful change to have.
That brings us to the end of our second video. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us again. अगर तुमने पहली वीडियो अब तक नहीं देखी है about busting mental health myths, go ahead and check it out. आगे हमारी और वीडियोस आने वाली है with Havovi ma'am. Please join us next week as well.
Do keep joining in every Sunday and learn about mental health, understand how to educate others about it as well. And this is for you, the youth. So please see these videos all through the series. And thank you for having me here.
See you in the next one.